Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is set to pitch his $16 billion budget to City Council.
The mayor's team is briefing alders as we speak on the big new taxes that they're being asked to vote for.
Yeah.
And our political correspondent Paris Schutz is here. How do you think they're going to react? I mean, that's the big question.
Well, Natalie and Sylvia, if last year is any indication, it might be tough sledding for this budget. We know the mayor was here this morning pitching this plan. Today kicks off weeks of budget hearings where each department will defend their spending levels and ask 26 alders to sign on to this mayor's budget that purports to close a $1.1 billion gap. So how does he plan to do that? Some cuts, some efficiencies, but lots of new taxes like a reinstatement of the corporate head tax, $20 per employee per month on companies over 100 people, as well as a controversial new social media tax and declaring TIF surplus funds. The mayor was on Good Day Chicago this morning defending these new proposals.
We have been voted the best big city by Condé Nast for 9 years in a row. It's the top relocator, the Chicagoland area for large corporations, right? We've had one of the busiest summers downtown with our hotels generating more than $900 million. Our airports are busier than they've ever been. This is the most diverse economy in the entire country, right? And so again, we're talking about 3% of large corporations who just received a tax benefit from Donald Trump. So I think when it comes to the #1 issue in Chicago, which is to keep us safe, these investments in our police officers, these investments in survivors of domestic violence, our investment in young people, which is important to me, and of course our investments in violence prevention, our CVI workers, that's a worthwhile investment to continue to drive violence down in the city of Chicago.
Obviously, business groups are opposed to that new corporate head tax, but approval here is far from certain. Remember last year, the mayor engaged in negotiations until the 11th hour before anyone could agree on a budget. Famously, a property tax increase was voted down 50-0. Mayor Johnson says there is no large property tax this year beyond a normal cost of living hike, but opponents say he hasn't done the work of reducing spending at a time of fiscal austerity.
You have to work within the framework of reality. And when you look at what every department is doing, even right now as we speak, we are still giving 8, 10, 12% raises to non-contractual employees under the guise of dealing with salary compression. At a time when we have $1 billion deficit, at a time when our taxpayers are struggling, to try and say that we're going to raise your taxes, raise your fees, raise your fines, so we could offer city employees a 12% year-to-year pay increase is unacceptable.
All right, let's set the calendar. So they're in hearings today. They will be for the next couple of weeks. And then they had to vote on something before the end of the year. But if you listen to those comments, Sylvia, it does seem like it might be some tough sledding. And there might have to be some give and take here between the mayor and alders to get a final budget through.
Yeah, but a lot of give and take. All right.
Yep, you got it.
Thank you, Ferris. Exactly.